Here we go.
This happened in recent times, so excuse me
Shit.
if I sound confused and terrified while sharing. It was a warm Friday night, and I couldn't sleep even after trying for an hour. I came out to the living room to watch something on Netflix. I live in a ground floor apartment. The big window behind the living room couch opened up towards the woods. But I watch enough scary stories, so
That
living alone
window
near
will
woods
always be
never
locked,
bothered
though.
me so far. I didn't have air conditioning in my apartment, so I switched on the ceiling fan and opened the windows for ventilation.
Damn,
I
where
poured a
you
bucket
live
of
at?
nachos and mayonnaise dip before sitting for a scary Netflix movie. As I played a movie, the cool breeze from the forest touched my neck. I could hear the chorus of crickets.
That's a killer.
It has been almost an hour. I was completely grooving in the movie when I heard sounds of dry leaves rustling in the woods. I turned around and didn't see anyone. A big owl hooted in the branch nearby, and I felt I am the only human being awake with these night creatures. I put a handful of nachos inside of my mouth and started munching on them ruthlessly. The movie I watched showed a deaf girl being alone in the house while an intruder breaks in.
Oh,
I know what you're thinking. Is she insane?
What's this called?
No, I'm not.
I know
But as
the
I
movie.
said, I am
can't
used to
remember the
watching
name of
scary
it.
movies late night. I am not a very sound sleeper. So, I was eating and watching the movie when I heard a creepy cackle echoing in the forest. I immediately turned around. My eyes got fixated on the narrow path going into the woods. Don't know why. A few seconds went by, then the echoing laughter started to go loud. It took me a few seconds more to realize that the sound of laughter is coming close.
I would have instantly, the first time I heard that, instantly gotten up and went to the window. Maybe not have closed it right away, but that would have been the point of me getting up to be near it so I can close it if something happened. But I don't know. Before I would have walked away, I would have closed it. Like, you hear that shit and because I lived in an apartment down south when I just lived in Mississippi. And it was a bedroom and we had two bedrooms. Technically both bedrooms faced the woods, but one was like far enough away. We was like, it didn't matter. But the window that was close to the woods, we always kept that window closed. The only time we opened it, because of where the windows were, you could open them a little bit and then lock them. And they actually had like little areas where you can lock it where the windows like basically crack like this. Then they had it where you had it halfway, and then they had it again where it was like all the way up, and you could lock it all the way up. So every so often it'd be cracked when it was like really hot, but almost never had that window open. One thing, because we were like a quarter of a mile, not even really a quarter of a mile. Well, probably maybe a little bit under a quarter of a mile from a prison, or not really a prison. It was a jail. It was like a small jail. So, and they had people like climb the fence because they were right up near the woods, just like we were. So they were always like, "Be careful, you live over here because convicts could escape." And I remember one time I actually saw convicts. They had escaped already, and they were trying to it was so cold outside because it was really cold that year, weirdly, for Mississippi. So they were trying to get back inside the prison. And I remember I could see it from my window. I could see down the side all the way up to where the prison was at, and then keep going down there because the woods, it's like right there, and you could like walk right beside the woods, right next to like it was another apartment, kind of apartment complex, and then a big space, and then the fence for the prison or jail. And I saw the prison guard shoot the guy. He shot one in the prison. It was like three of them. He shot one of them. I thought he shoot him. They were all three climbing the fence, trying to get back into the prison, and you shot one. And I saw he just shot him while he was on the fence trying to climb it, going back over into the prison. He shot him. He didn't kill him, but it was like, what the fuck? But anyway.
Suddenly, I saw a man rushing to my house at full speed, wearing a trench coat and a baseball cap. He He was of average height and a little overweight. Seeing him hovering towards my window like a crazy psycho, I got up from the couch. I threw the nacho tub on the floor and started to close the window, shaking in fear. The man was a few inches away when I slammed shut my window.
Why? This is
He stopped right there.
very
Even though he was
coincidental.
so close, I couldn't see his face. The baseball cap created a shadow on his face.
He's standing like
All I could see was his rusty, dark lips. He stood there like a statue, and then his mouth formed a crooked smile.
rust
I
ass
could
lip
see his
having
rotten
motherfucker.
yellow teeth. Whoever he is, he doesn't seem like a nice guy. I understood that very
Yeah,
clearly.
what made you think
My
that?
heart was beating like drums when the man said something, moving his lips. But I couldn't hear anything. He was going on rambling something inaudible. Then, he started to walk towards the left of my house and disappeared behind the walls. I always locked my doors and windows before going to bed, so I was relieved thinking that at least he can't
That
get
motherfucker's
inside.
about to just
I
jump
sat
like
down
this.
and paused the movie. The entire house was in darkness. The light from the TV was my only source to look around. I wanted to go and switch on the lights, but fear of death grabbed my feet too tightly to move. I took a
Death?
few deep breaths and then started to look for my phone. I must call 911 before anything more happens. I noticed my phone was on the
Oh
floor,
my
which I threw away
God.
while throwing the nachos
That must
in
be
the
an
shower.
iPhone.
And due to the heavy throw, the front screen was shattered into pieces. My cell phone is the only phone in the house. Realizing that I can't even call 911 made my heartbeat become even faster. I crouched down on the floor and prayed to God to make this man go away. I thought if I waited for some hours, it would be morning soon, and then I can go out and ask for help. I'm the only tenant in this small two-storied apartment. The other tenants were supposed to come tomorrow. My friend Rita told me to stay with her tonight, but I didn't listen. Who thought I will start living Netflix content in real life, that too, in the middle of the night? I don't remember what time it was, but I slowly got up and played back the TV. I didn't want to give that guy any idea that he scared the hell out of me. The movie started to play again. Half an hour went by without any trouble. I thought to go to my room and try to contact 911 through my laptop. I walked into my room as quiet as possible. The laptop was right next to the study table, near the window.
Bro, I mean, if everything
I
is
was about to
locked,
pick it up when I heard a slow
I guess you
breathing
could
sound
throw some out
outside
the
my
window.
I opened the curtain, and that creepy
Oh
man
my
was
God.
standing there, pressing his entire face on the window and staring right into my soul. Let me in. His voice gave my bones chills, and I screamed at the top of my lungs. I ran to the living room and collapsed on the floor, crying heavily. The man's laughter got louder, hearing me
What the
sob,
fuck
and
is
he started
going
to
on?
bang on the glass window, screaming, "Let me in! Let me in! Let me in!" But before he could finish his words,
He go,
I heard a female
surprising
voice
back.
from
Little
the passage
pig, little
outside my apartment.
pig. Let
Dad,
me
Dad, where are
in.
you? I sprung in joy, thinking the neighbors upstairs may have finally arrived.
Said,
I
"Dad."
ran to the main door and opened it. A girl younger than me, probably in her high school years, stood outside my apartment with a confused face. I said in a sobbing voice, "There's a man trying to break in. My phone is not working. Please, call the cops." "What? Relax, relax. Where is he? Show me." "In my bedroom. He's standing outside of my window." The girl went straight to my room, and what she did next almost gave me a heart attack.
That was her dad.
She
She
opened
having
the
a
bedroom
mental.
window and helped that man get inside my apartment. I screamed in fear. "Are you two gonna kill me now?" "What? No. This is my dad,
Like,
for
bitch,
God's
what?
sake. Not some fugitive. He suffers from some delusion. I am sorry you had to meet us like this. We are your next door neighbors. He likes watching Netflix all day, but all our furniture is arriving tomorrow. Somehow he got out of the apartment and was wandering outside. Maybe he saw you watching TV, so he came here. I apologize for all the inconvenience." She looked at her dad with a really embarrassing face, and the man stared at my TV without saying anything more. He wasn't even noticing either of us. His eyes were stuck to the screen. I understood
damn it.
this girl was telling the truth. She then took her father away. While walking out of my apartment, her father went on staring at the screen. Just before disappearing in the passage outside, His eyes shifted towards me, and he gave me one last crooked smile and said something inaudible that somehow felt like he was saying, "I'll be back." I left the place the next day, and since then, never met that girl or her psycho father. I am very sure the man is putting on a show, an act of mental illness to hide his evil self in front of his innocent daughter. So, if you live on the outskirts of Minnesota, then don't open your windows at night.
I mean, I don't, but I don't. I think if you live anywhere, you shouldn't just have
Hey
your
guys, I
windows
hope you're
open at
enjoying the
night,
video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that
especially
watch
if
my
you don't have a
videos are actually
screen on them.
subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy. I woke up with a smile on my face. The sky seemed lovely. Everything seemed beautiful after a long time. While brushing my teeth, I
Oh
stopped
shit!
and
I
gazed
thought
at my
she had
wardrobe, looking for the
chopsticks and
perfect
try to
outfit
pull her
tonight.
tongue out, mouth.
After a bad breakup and 5 emotionally draining months, I finally have a date. Among all my dresses, the black one caught my eye. I took it out and hung it near the mirror to give it a nice press later. After
Yo, she
freshening
got a
up, I
freakum
went to the
dress.
kitchen to make breakfast. I live alone in this studio apartment. My parents live in New Jersey, and I moved out last year. The guy I dated was my neighbor's son, and a total ass. But Jason is not like him. He is different. It has only been a week since I have met Jason. I was shopping for
Let me
groceries
guess,
in
Jason
Walmart
crazy.
when our trolleys stumbled upon us.
Another fruitcake.
Our eyes met, and we
Really?
couldn't help but
Y'all,
smile. There was something in his
y'all,
stare that imprinted his face
grocery
in my
cars
mind
bumped
immediately.
into each other.
We exchanged some casual talks, and he even helped me carry my bag.
Is this
to
a
the car.
rom-com?
Then he went on his way, and I drove home, wondering how strikingly handsome he is. 3 days after this incident, I was going to work when I heard a familiar voice behind me. Turning back, I saw it was Jason. He was driving a black truck and slowed down to talk to me. He said he too was going to work the same way and would like to drop me off. Without any hesitation,
He wanna know where
I
you
hopped
work
in,
at.
and now, here we are, meeting tonight for our first dinner date. Jason is very punctual, and unlike
Oh,
other
wait a
guys,
minute. Oh, he did.
never
Oh, she was
keeps me
walking
waiting.
home.
So, I finished my breakfast and started preparing myself for date night. I was thinking about
Well, I guess
what
he
show to
agreed
wear
to a date.
when
Know
my
what
phone
she?
rang.
He wouldn't have found out where she
Hi,
lived
Mom.
anyway.
What's up? Someone's in a good mood. What's the occasion? Nothing. Did you meet someone? What? No. Why would you? Kiara, I am your mom. I know you too well. Tell me about him. There's nothing to tell yet. We are going on our first date tonight. He is nice and well behaved. That's good to hear. So, is it going to be just the date?
Dang, sheesh.
Okay,
Mom,
okay.
like it's gonna be just
no
a
more
date.
interference in your private
You
matter.
about to get
You are a
that
big
work.
girl now. Just be careful. And if you guys do it, then
Y'all about to
don't
play
forget
hopscotch.
to use protection. Mom, please. I have to go now. I'll call you later. Have a nice night. Bye, little birdie. Even though I yelled at her for thinking
Birdie.
too far ahead of time, the same thing was going in my mind as well. I took a deep breath and said to myself, looking in the mirror,
Oh, you wonder
"Stop
what he would
worrying
look
so
like if
much.
you sat on his face?
Everything will be all right." The entire afternoon went by dressing myself and doing my makeup. When I finally got ready, wearing my beautiful black dress, paired with matching black heels, I blushed, seeing myself in the mirror. I sprayed perfume, and just when, a car horn honked under my apartment. I rushed to the window and saw Jason had arrived right on time. I rushed down, and he came out to open the door for me.
Uh-huh.
You look like an angel. Thank you.
Okay,
I sat
calm
beside him
down,
and
dude.
thought about getting a
She's
kiss
like, calm
before
down. You ain't
leaving
getting
the
no pussy
restaurant.
tonight.
But Jason smiled and started to drive. It has come to my notice that Jason is not a very touchy guy, and it actually is fine with me. Not everyone is comfortable with public displays of affection.
Why would he touch
We
y'all?
went to the ocean
Just the
grill
first
and
date?
sat on a corner table that allowed us perfect privacy. I am glad that
Oh, I guess he
spent
could
time
have hugged
together.
her or something, I guess, but
Me too.
the way
I
she
talked
said
about
it,
my
like he's
childhood
supposed to
and high
kiss
school
her or some
boyfriends,
shit.
and for the first time in life, I found a guy who actually listened. Jason never interrupted me or showed irritation as I rambled about myself. I loved how carefully he listened and how he even showed interest in my life, asking follow-up questions like, where do my parents live? How long have I been living on my own here? Do I know many people in this neighborhood? How often do I see my family? Etc. I also told him how I
I would
rarely
say
talk
that's
to
kind of
people at
creepy,
work,
but I guess
and
you're
I
trying
have
to figure out
always been
what
the
to
quiet
say.
type. He smiled with his shining eyes and said, well, now you know me. For the first time, he
And it's
kept
the
his hand
first
on
date.
mine, and a warm feeling made my heart skip a beat. After dinner, we got into his car, and Jason said, would you like to go to my place and hang out for a while? We can watch something on Netflix while having a couple of beers.
Oh wow,
I was
Netflix and
bracing
chill.
myself
That's
for
basically what
this
he said.
invitation, so I paused a while and said, okay. I may
No.
be a
Hey, what do you say we go in the back and shack? Like, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with, banging on the first date. Because I'd be a hypocrite if I said it was. But I know this is clearly like a horror story, so someone's bad gonna have something just like, ah, damn it. But I think I would be a little bit more apprehensive if she just moved here. She's in a whole new city. She doesn't really know anybody, and she just met this guy. So it's not like, when you're comfortable in your own stomping grounds, like, oh, I know my way around pretty good. I've been living here for years, stuff like that. But she just got there, and she just met this dude. And he seems to be doing all the right things, saying all the right thing, paying attention to her and all this shit. And then he's like, hey, you want to go back to my place, watch Netflix, drink a few beers. And it's like, I think, like I said, nothing wrong with, shacking up with a first date. That's what you want to do as purpose. But if you feel y'all vibing like that, y'all really enjoying each other, and y'all want to, on a first date, y'all like, hey, let's do the damn thing. But just, I don't know, it's almost like he was interrogating her. But at the same time, like it says, a first date. So you trying to find things to talk about, and he's like, oh, you just moved this. But he's like, do you see your family often? I think it's interesting. I wasn't gonna say weird, but it's interesting to ask. I could see saying, oh, you just moved here. Where you moved from? Oh, you moved from here. And then if you been there or lived there, you could say, oh yeah, I went there, or I lived there, lived in that state at one point, whatever, Something to see similarities, have stuff in common. But to be like, oh, how do you see your parents often? Do you know anybody around here? Not know anybody around that's kind of a red flag, but at the same time, like, she had already told him that she just moved there. Maybe it's like, hey, have you made any other friends here, or made any new friends? Don't say other friends, because it sounds like you're trying to put yourself in the friend area rather than in the bumping and grind area where you want to be.
quiet girl, but I was smart enough to understand what this Netflix and chill idea stands for these days. Actually,
These days, how
there
old
was
are
no
you?
reason to say no because Jason is quite handsome and well off. If things go
Oh, so
perfectly,
it's okay to give me a
then we
pussy.
have a long shot together.
He's well
We
off
left
in
the
his
highway and
hands.
got onto a dusty road.
Those are the ones you got to worry about.
On one side, I could see vast
cornfield?
fields, and on the other, deep woods. I had no idea you lived on the outskirts. Yeah, my grandpa used to live here. Now, this is my place. After driving for 15 minutes more, we reached a wooden house.
That place
Even though it
looked,
looked old and rusty from the outside, it appeared to be very cozy
oh
and
wow,
warm from the inside.
definitely nice on the inside.
I was surprised to see how well decorated and clean the house was. Generally, you don't expect to see a bachelor's place in such good condition. But Jason was so particular in every little detail. A strong smell of room freshener was churning in the air.
Had
I
the scent of the
understood
dead
Jason had
bodies he
planned to
got on
bring
the
me to his
floor.
place after dinner long back. He sat me down on the living room couch and turned on the big flat screen. The red logo of Netflix beamed the room with its usual sound, and a screen full of contents flashed in front of my eyes. Taking a look at the suggestions, I found out Jason prefers crime thrillers a lot. I was surfing through
Asian
the movies
action
when he came
movies.
back holding 2 beers in his hand. What do you want to watch? Saying this, he handed me a beer and I replied, It seems you have a keen interest in crime thrillers. He laughed mysteriously and said, What's the fun if there's no thrill in life? I smiled and took a sip from my
Oh
beer.
no.
He suggested
Put
watching the
some in the
web
beer.
series named You, about a guy whose stalking behavior
It's a
makes him
little on the
do the
nose, isn't
unthinkable.
it?
The web series started, and Jason turned off the lights in the living room. My heartbeat got faster sitting in that empty house with him. After 5 minutes like this, he came close to me and said, Would it be wrong if I kiss you, Kiera? I smiled and looked at his eyes, saying, No.
Would it be
He kissed me
wrong
on the
if
lips,
I
and
kissed you,
I kissed him
Kira?
back. As we started to hit it off, Jason
She just
stopped
put
and
some in
said,
her mouth.
I need to go to the washroom. Wait here.
I gotta go pee
I'll
right
be back
quick.
soon. He went to the washroom, and I got excited, thinking, finally, the time is here.
She said, finally, I'm
A
about to
minute
get some
went by.
dick.
10 minutes went by. I waited and waited, but Jason didn't come back. Thinking how weird it is, I got up and walked to the washroom. I was about to knock on the washroom door when I saw thick red liquid coming out from the gap
Whoa,
under the door.
what the fuck?
I pushed the door open and saw Jason was lying on the floor, covered in blood with an injury on the back of his head.
Okay, I did.
It wasn't hard to guess that somehow he slipped and hit his head. I ran towards him.
How did he
as
slip and
coughed
hit his
blood while
head?
shaking.
No, somebody in the
His eyes
house.
stared at me wildly, and then he started to choke in his own blood. Oh my God! I will get something. Wait, Jason. I ran to get a first aid kit.
Wait,
dialing
ain't
the
nobody in there?
paramedics.
Really? He slipped?
I saw a room right next to the washroom. I opened the door and got in. I was about to press the call button when I looked around. What is this place? Chains were hanging from the ceiling with the various torture devices tied to them.
What the
There were
fuck?
bamboo sticks, cuffs, and a big black table
Bamboo
with
sticks.
sharp needles sticking on the surface.
He better do some fucking
This room
Chinese torture.
is only designed for torture. A camera was set up in the corner, probably to record a snuff film. I didn't call and went to check the camera. There was footage in its memory.
Man, you need to be getting the
One by
fuck
one,
out
I
of there.
played those videos. Jason torturing girls in this room. So this is what his Netflix and chill date is. Bringing innocent girls into his house in the name of watching movies on Netflix, and then putting them through hell. Has he killed these girls too? My body.
You need to
got
get the
numb.
fuck out of there.
I came to a psycho's house being his victim, but now he is lying injured in his own washroom.
Yeah, that is.
I thank
You
God
are
for
lucky.
letting me live,
Yeah,
and slowly walked back into
if
the
there's a
washroom.
guy, he's
Jason
definitely
was
on
still
your
lying
side.
there and coughing blood. I stooped down to his face and said, "Did you torture and kill girls here? Help me."
I'm like, yeah, I help you.
Not
The hand
before you
just comes
answer
up
that question.
around the store.
I'm sorry, but I swear I wasn't planning to do that
Oh,
with you.
really?
Suddenly, I don't know why I felt like believing him.
What?
Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe
Even if he is,
actually
he
fell in
killed
love with
people.
me. I helped him to get up and brought him to the living room couch.
Oh my.
His head was still bleeding like crazy. I ripped off part of my cloth and put it on his head. Then I called
Okay,
paramedics
she's called
and took him to a
police.
hospital. Jason received stitches and half of his body got paralyzed with his injury.
Oh damn.
A week later, I brought him back to this house, but this time, he sat in a wheelchair. I took him to that room of torture where I have to build a cage to keep him.
What?
He was not in his senses when I locked him inside that cage. One day, he might wake from this drowsy state of mind, making me realize it was all a lie,
Wait.
that I was too brought as a victim into this house. But if that happens, I am not letting him go behind other women. Taking my inspiration from the web series of Netflix, I will keep him locked up in that room forever. And I'm sure he will eventually fall in love with me.
Oh, you crazy ass bitch. You crazy too. Cause I'm like, wait. When he got released from the hospital, why would they release him to her? That didn't make any. I was like, I don't make any sense. Like, you would think they only release it to fans, family. Now, if he doesn't have any family, then you have to put him in a hospital. Man, this motherfucker, they can prove he's tortured people. You would think they put him like in some type of mental hospital or something. Or he had to stay in a regular hospital. If he injured like that, he had to stay in a regular hospital until he's physically able. But then they would put his ass on trial. And whether he go to prison or to a mental hospital. But then this chick is crazy too. Like, is she that hard up for some dick? Like, she like, oh, I'm gonna keep him and he's gonna be mine. Like, motherfucker's crazy. Like, what y'all gonna be? Like, torture people together? I should have figured when she said when he said I wasn't gonna do that to you. And he said, did you torture all those girls? Why would you ask that? And then she's like, I wanted to believe him. Like, even if that was the case, even if you knew for a fact that he was not going to do that to you, he still tortures people. Like, what the fuck? But like, this bitch is crazy anyway, so don't even mind. Like,
The slang Netflix and chill has become really popular in the recent years. And while the true meaning of the slang is known to most people, I was unlucky enough to meet someone
people been
who had
doing
a
that shit
twisted
before
definition of the
Netflix been
popular
doing that
slang,
shit.
Netflix and chill.
DVD and chill.
My name is Nolan
VHS
Hunter, and I
and
was
chill.
17 years old when this incident happened. I was living with my
Cable
brother,
and
Landon
chill.
Hunter, at the time, and he had just become a certified self-defense instructor. Seeing as it was his job, my brother was very passionate about being safe and knowing how to properly protect yourself. As with every chance he got, he was always trying to show me defensive techniques to use if I was ever in trouble. He'd say things like, "It's really dangerous out there. It's important to know how to protect yourself.
Really dangerous out there.
You should always be safe out there because you never
What's
know
up with
when you'll
his
find
hair?
yourself in a dangerous
Is it
situation."
supposed to be gray?
While I knew he had my best interests at heart, I really didn't care about my safety because at 17, all I really thought about were girls.
That's stupid. I mean, hell, at 17, I thought about girls too, but also my safety. Like, what you talking about? Like, I don't care about my safety. I'm 17. I'm invincible until you get fucked up, and then you find out you're not invincible.
Like every other teenager, once my hormones kicked in, the only thing I could think about was scoring a hot date. And on the
Fucking
7th of
freak.
October, 2019, I finally got lucky. I had asked around, and people told me that she was a goth girl who was majorly into things of the occult. While I wasn't into that kind of
I was
stuff,
about to say, you
I told
into that?
myself she wasn't bad looking. So when she walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to come over for a Netflix
I don't
and
know
chill
why.
date, I immediately jumped out.
Dang, she came right. I say you want Netflix and chill. It's basically, like, hey, you want to fuck while the TV's on in the background. It's something about black lipstick because it was. I mean, I've been to school plenty of golf chicks, and I remember it was one particular one when I went to college the first time, and we just so happened. I remember saying in the hallway, I was like, God damn, she fine. I don't know. She looked like cause she was she could have passed white, but you could tell from her bone structure it was something else in that. Like, she wasn't just like white. But then I found out because we ended up having a class together. Not that semester, but because I completely forgot about it. But the next semester, she had kind of changed her hair. Her hair wasn't black. Like, what, she had black hair, a whole lot of black eyeliner around her eyes, and black lipstick. But then she changed her hair, and it was still dark, but it was like dark brown. But she had on the black lipstick and had less eyeliner on. And we took a business law together, and man, that chick fine, but I don't have no game, so I ain't talking. She's fine as fuck. But a bunch of dudes trying to hit on her in that class, and she was like, she said she was married, but I know she didn't have any rings, and because she had rings on all her fingers when I first met her, but then when we took that class, she didn't have any rings on any of her fingers. So I guess she was kind of moving out of the whole golf phase thing. But golf chicks, like, I don't know, I always had that. I don't know, maybe it's just the black lipstick, but
The
I
opportunity.
always had something for them.
That night, I got ready for the date, and before I left, I told my elder brother where I was going so he wouldn't
This
be
is not a
worried.
date.
When I was done,
This is a
he looked at
one
me
night
and
stand.
said, "I don't know, man. It's pretty late.
I don't
You should
know,
really
man."
tread carefully and stay safe." I then replied him with, "Bro, I'm going on a
Bro,
Netflix and chill date with a girl.
it's not a date.
Nothing dangerous is going to happen. Believe me, there's nothing
So
to worry
it just
about.
might as well just be a booty
After
call.
that, I made my way to the door. As I left the house,
Except y'all
I realized
saw in
it was cold
person, and then
outside,
you was like,
so I
"Yo,
went back to
schedule
get a
something."
jacket. I couldn't see mine on the coat rack, and I was already running a bit late, so I just took my brother's jacket instead. I quickly made my way to Catherine's house, and once I got there, we began to talk and have a good time. As we sat down to watch Netflix,
Good time.
I suggested a really good show that I had seen in the past. Catherine looked at me and said, I know something that's
She also had
better
a
to watch. Curious, I asked,
chick I was talking about. She also had a mole on her face, but not that's why it was like here, close to her mouth. Damn, she was fine. Just think of it.
What's
like,
the show
see
called?
her face now. She's fine.
And
as
she
fuck.
replied to me with, You'll see. I watched her pick up the remote as she continued the conversation with, Have you ever heard of Netflix secret codes? I replied her
Yes,
with,
I have.
Yeah, I have. As I watched her type in the code 0666. Before I could blink, numerous horrific videos immediately filled the screen. Catherine then calmly played one called Chronicles of the Occult.
Oh,
And I began to watch
Chronicles of
morbidly
Narnia.
graphic videos of people being sacrificed in cult rituals. I watched in horror as numerous helpless people were propped up before strange altars. Their
Is
throats
this
were
shit
slit and
connected
their
to
eyes
the
were
deep
gouged
web
out.
or the dark web
I
or
had
something?
no words as I watched this ghastly horror play out before me. I slowly turned to my right to see Catherine smiling from ear to ear as she watched
Bitch getting
the morbid
aroused.
images.
This is what she need to
And it
get
didn't
off.
take me long to figure out that she was really enjoying this. After the first 10 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. So I turned to her and said, What the hell is this? Catherine then calmly replied me with, It's my favorite show, and you're about to be part of it.
Like,
Baffled,
bitch, the
I
fuck
said,
I am. I'd have kicked her
What
right
the
in
hell
the
does
face.
that mean? Before I could finish my sentence,
Oh,
two hooded figures emerged from the dark and attacked
oh,
me.
sleeper hole.
I tried to struggle, but it was no use.
I tried
as
to
they
struggle,
firmly
but I was
held
a
on to
punk
me.
bitch and I
They
couldn't get
started to
loose.
subdue me when I shouted, What the hell is going on here,
What do you
Catherine?
think going on?
Who are these people? She smiled and replied to me,
I should have bloodshot
You see,
eyes
Nolan,
all of a sudden.
The Chronicles of the Occult is a show that's made up of numerous occult eccentrics. I myself am a very huge contributor to the content shown, and today I need a sacrificial lamb to kill in my latest entry. And I thought to myself, there's no better candidate than a horny boy who would jump at the opportunity of Netflix and chill. So I invited you here under the guise of that.
Damn,
And
what
now,
is this? She explaining
I'm going
her
to
whole
make you
plot? Like,
a star by killing you. I watched as she
Shit.
spoke with
I
so
would've-
much confidence. The sight was sickening to me, as in that moment.
I would have gained superhuman strength right then and like, shit. I just ran all the way home with this motherfucker on my bed. He like strangling me, and I passed out with the super ultra, just still ran home unconscious. Like, get the fuck out! She said, "I knew you were horny." Like, I mean, I guess he should have. He should have thought like this chick just randomly walks up to him and is like, "Hey, you want to Netflix and chill?" And I'm like, who does that? Like that? I mean, at a school. It's I guess a certain place like a bar, but you get to talking and hanging out, and then you like, well, I'm about to leave or something like, hey, you want me to walk you home or something like that. It's like you ain't getting laid tonight, but it usually leads up. It's not like just say, hey, you want to fuck, like somebody just walks up to you. At least it's never happened to me. I don't know. Maybe that happens to really extremely attractive people. Like,
Moment,
I wouldn't be
had lost
surprised.
all appeal towards
I wouldn't be surprised what happens to women, but dudes, like, I don't know, maybe.
the girl standing before me as she looked truly psychotic. With no hesitation, the men started to pull me towards a room. I kept struggling with all of my strength, but it was hopeless. They took me to a room that was decorated.
So you just
with
gave
occultist
up?
Things. I saw the skulls of animals placed around the
The
room.
skull of a gorilla?
Black candles were placed and lit everywhere to give the room an eerie glow. A huge demonic altar was in the middle of the room. As they brought me closer,
Ain't no way.
I could see
No
numerous
way.
blood stains on it.
I just,
They propped me up on the
man, I
altar
be
as I
kicking and
watched Catherine get
screaming
out a camera
and
and a jagged knife.
thrashing.
The fear of dying slowly began to paralyze me.
What?
I looked at her with utter disgust as she said to
Paralyzed.
me, "Don't look at me like that, Nolan. I kept my promise, didn't I? We watched some Netflix, and now it's time for us to chill. But unfortunately for you, this is my twisted meaning of chill." They all started to laugh as she continued to set up the camera. Seeing them laugh turned my fear to anger as I kept on struggling.
Yeah, you should have
I
been
pulled
angry.
and tugged till I suddenly felt something in my jacket's pocket.
Oh, is
I
it?
took a closer look out of the corner of my eye. I realized there was a can of mace in my pocket.
Oh, yeah.
I knew the mace belonged to my brother. As being a self-defense instructor, he carried it
Boy,
everywhere
you
he
got
went.
lucky.
I then remembered why I had it, as the jacket I was wearing belonged to him. Seeing that can of mace filled me with hope, as it gave me an opportunity to escape. So with all of my strength, I managed to pull one of my arms free, and in a split second, right before my throat was about to be slit, I grabbed the can of mace and sprayed it into the eyes of my attackers. Stunned, they all began to scream as the mace burnt their eyes. Not
I'd have
wasting
probably
a single
sprayed it like
second,
that too.
I
Just
bolted through the door.
close my eyes
I
and
managed
mouth.
to make my way out of the apartment as I ran down the street.
He looking at him like,
I
what the
didn't
fuck you
stop
doing?
till I reached home. As I ran into the living room, I saw my elder brother Landon waiting for me with a worried look on his face. I was out of breath, but I managed to tell him everything that
Oh,
happened,
he looked
and
pissed.
he immediately called the police.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say he
The
went out
days
there
that
and
followed
beat
were
their
hectic,
ass.
as a lot of questioning and interrogations were carried out. The cops who had gone to pay Catherine a visit told us that no one was there, as there was no trace of her. The cops and I then decided to reach out to Netflix to see if they knew anything about the horrific program, Chronicles of the Occult. We called them up and explained everything that happened. The Netflix worker then told us, "I'm sorry, but we know all our codes, and we can assure you that the code 0666 has never existed."
So that wasn't even Netflix. That was some deep web bullshit. But what the fuck these Netflix? It's like we are this bitch part of a cult, and she puts on Netflix and showing him like, oh, this gets me out, and it's like, this is what I'm going to do to you, and then he gets manhandled by two dudes, and they're like, yeah, we gonna carve your ass up. Like he got so lucky. I mean, I would have been suspicious from the get go. A girl just come up to me telling me, hey, you want to go back to my place and just fuck? I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna think about it. But I like, okay, well, I need to go, like, give me your address. I need to go home first. I'm gonna go home and get my retractable baton and my knives, or at least one knife. And then I'm gonna go back. And then I'm gonna go outside and see. So that way if I drive up and I see that this place looks like some shady bullshit could be going on here, then I could just leave. I ain't gotta have her in my car and be like, oh, you gotta make up an excuse and shit like that. Just be like, just leave on my own. Like she in her house, and I just be like, yeah, I ain't going in there. I ain't doing this. But anyway, hope you enjoyed my reaction. When if you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell, get me notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below. Share this video. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.